Did you say something, Jackie? Hi, my friends.
Hello, I'm trying to make sure I have the right agenda. The one I'm coming up with says 2/23/2022.
I'll put it in the chat, Jerry.
Okay,
It goes to the right document, but that,
okay.
yeah.
Put the direct
Jeff,
link in
because that's
there.
important. Right, I need to be able to bring it up on my phone. So that's fine, even though the data on it is erroneous, at least give me the proper agenda.
Yeah, it's actually
I
just
like
the
to work
date that
from
it was
something-
posted. It was just, it posted
On-
2020.
Okay, all right, good. I hate trying to talk back and forth between, scenes to get the agenda.
And Jerry, it's a little bit hard for us to hear. I think you might be cutting out a bit, so you may have to turn the video off from time to time. Just FYI.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't bring home my laptop. I'm using a Chromebook, so
okay.
they're not quite as stable.
We do have a quorum, so whenever you'd like to get started, Jim, what's the agenda?
Thank you, Jackie. I would like to call to order the administrative meeting of the Monroe County Plan Commission for March 1st, which is a virtual meeting. Jackie, if you would please call the roll.
Sure. Margaret Clemens,
Here.
Sean Enright Randolph,
Here.
Bernie Garitas, Jeff McKim,
Here,
Dee Owens,
Here.
Jerry Pittsford,
Here.
Jim Stainbrook, Julie Thomas.
Here.
Amy Thompson. And then I don't believe we have anyone from the city, so we have 6 members and a quorum.
All right, thank you, Jackie. I'm going to go ahead and ask for approval of the agenda and evidence for tonight's meeting. If I have a motion, please.
move we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I second.
I'll call the roll. Sean Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Jeff McKim,
Yes,
Dee Owens,
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford,
Yes.
Julie Thomas,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
I don't think we need the evidence, do we?
No, we don't need the
No, we
evidence.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Old
Sorry.
habits. So, and my apologies to everybody joining us that I'm on no video. When I speak, I generally like to be on video, but tonight I'm not on a device that's very well supported by the internet connection here. So I will proceed through the meeting without video. If there be no objection, I'm going to proceed to old business. Number 1 under old business is case number ZOA-21-11. This is an amendment to the Monroe County zoning ordinance, chapter 801 definitions, and this is a final hearing. Jackie, are we okay doing final hearings on these in the administrative meeting?
So Jerry, this is the same agenda that will be posted on the March 22nd Plan Commission meeting. So it is a final hearing when it gets to the actual hearing, but since this is a public meeting, we won't be taking a vote tonight.
Okay, I wanted to be sure that I wasn't missing anything.
Yep.
Okay, so if you would like to proceed, Jackie, we'll go ahead and let you introduce it.
Okay,
And Mr. Chair, may the record reflect that Bernie Garitas is on as well.
thank you.
Thank you.
And we also have rules of procedure that preceded this on the agenda, so we can cover that at the end, maybe?
Is that,
Yeah, we didn't have a vote on rules of procedure. Sorry, that was on me.
That's okay. I'm just wondering if we could talk about it at the end and,
there's one other item for administrative business that TME had heard back from the Historic Preservation Board of Review. And just a quick question for you all about a topic that had come up, and just how you want to engage with the historic preservation. So if you want those two items at the end of the meeting, that is okay with us, or if you want to do them now, we can.
Since we actually have not gone into this, and to be true to the agenda, that would be the first thing heard, and we don't want to disappoint the public. So with my acknowledgement of jumping the gun, let us go backwards in the agenda to administrative business and review what's ahead of us on Plan Commission rules of procedure, please.
Okay, thank you. So we had discussed at the last administrative meeting that the vice president would run the administrative meetings and the chair would run, or the president would run the regular meetings. So we have made an amendment to the rules of procedure, working with our legal department to be able to put that in writing so that what we're doing reflects what the rules of procedure says. So we are adding the above, notwithstanding the vice president shall conduct administrative meetings regardless of the presence of the president. And then the only other change that we made was that the meeting start times would be at 5:30 p.m. instead of 6 p.m., which is updated to what our current practice is. So those are the two changes of the rules of procedure. And as an administrative item, you can actually vote on those changes tonight without it being a public hearing. You're able to make those changes.
I'm going to
Like-
go ahead and make a motion to accept the revised rules of procedure for the Plan Commission.
I will
Second.
second.
Okay,
Good.
I'll go ahead and call the roll.
Question, I've got a question real quick. So will this be for the time and for the administrative meeting person in charge, or the vice president, or just, is it for both items?
I believe the vote was to approve both items.
Both items. Yep.
Do I have a conflict of interest here as the vice president?
No, I don't think you do.
Okay. Just want to be sure it's not a power grab.
You can definitely vote for yourself.
I have a clarification with the motion. Is there not new added language? Is that separate where it has the added language highlighted in blue? Let me bring up my packet. Page 75, 41 of that. So page 75 of the packet itself.
Well, so the rules of procedure are just pages, I believe it's 3 through,
Go to 31, I think.
okay, 31.
Or 34, that's one or the other.
And that might be right. I just want to clarify because I didn't see a clear separation.
Was there other amended text that you saw, Tron, in the
Yeah,
rules of
yeah.
procedure? Okay,
on page like I was saying, 75, let me get back, or 72, it talks about the site plan.
That's
And
the
it talks
next
about the-
item.
That's the next item. This is just strictly the rules of procedure administrative item.
Okay,
Yeah, so it should be the two changes for the rules of procedure is adding under Article 6, the above notwithstanding, the vice president shall conduct the administrative meetings regardless of the presence of the president. And that we will be meeting at 5:30 PM as opposed to 6 PM. And if you'd like to vote on those separately or together, right now we have a motion and a second to vote on those together.
I was
Okay,
just
Jackie,
confused
thank
and
you
I'm
very much.
clarified.
Okay,
Right. Thank you, Jackie. I think that's a fine clarification.
okay.
At this point, I'm going to ask if there is a motion to separate these two items. If there is no motion, we will continue to vote on both of them as one.
So moved.
Thank you.
All right, I'll call the roll. Jeff McKim,
Yes.
Dee Owens,
Yes.
okay. Jerry Pittsford,
Yes.
Julie Thomas,
Yes,
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Sean Enright Randolph,
Yes,
Bernie Garitas.
So we've moved to separate the items being the time and the administrator of the administrative meetings. Is that correct?
No, this is a vote for both of those together.
Okay. I vote no, and the reason why, I think we've gone about this backwards, and I just think that we need to keep the president in the position of running both meetings. This just doesn't sit very well with me, so I vote no.
Okay, so the motion passes 6-1. And then Tammy, did you want to discuss the administrative item for historic preservation? Keep it brief.
Right.
Thank you.
Let
So-
the record reflect that Amy Thompson is here as well. Oh, she needs to be promoted, though.
So several months ago, the Plan Commission Executive Committee met and the HP Board met with them to discuss the possibility of adding demo delay as a process to Monroe County to help maybe preserve historic structures. And they have been doing some research and some work and are starting to come up with some like a flow chart and some plans. And one of the items that's going to happen with this is that they will need to approve a map that is essentially going to be adding the historic preservation overlay to several parcels. And so they're wanting to kind of get some clarification as to which board would be best to meet with to discuss this. We as staff saw 4 options, and so we're bringing it here to the Plan Commission to decide which one would be most appropriate. So the first idea is to meet with the executive committee as they did before, which does require special legal notice and some scheduling logistics. Another option was to go to the ordinance review committee, since this would be a map amendment, and that is a regularly scheduled meeting, second Monday of every month. We also thought maybe just looping this in with the CDO discussion. Every time that we talk about CDO, we might be able to bring the Historic Preservation Board in to talk about their section and what progress they're making. And then finally, it could be the PC admin meeting once a month if we wanted to hear from the HP board. So staff is just looking for a little bit of guidance as to which seems to be the most sensible route to take with discussing the map and some other logistics regarding demo delay and maybe some staffing issues. So I'm open for any questions.
There are no questions on this. Is there a motion?
I see Jeff McKim.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
No, that's okay. I guess, did I hear you say that the executive committee used to do that?
Well, the executive committee met with HP board I want to say it was like November, December last year. And there was a discussion that maybe the HP board formulate their own small committee that would meet with the executive committee. And I think staff just wants to confirm that this is the right venue for those two groups to maybe get together, or if it seems more appropriate to bring it to the PC admin meeting or the ORC.
Does staff have a preference?
I mean, we can accommodate whichever works out, honestly.
I would say, Jeff, ultimately, the reason we're bringing it to the plan commission is this something that you would like to deal with now, as in go to the ORC and start working on that today to update in our current ordinance? Or is this something you want to see updated in our future county development ordinance? So it's more of a long range project.
I sort of have a more basic question, I guess, and maybe I missed this, but where did this discussion originate? With the historic preservation board, or staff suggested they start working on demolition delay? Or I guess knowing where it started would help me understand maybe where it fits best.
Yeah, the Historic Preservation Board has been discussing this for quite some time, and I think they're wanting to make a go of it now and try to kind of possibly synchronize it with the CDO, because when you rezone a property, it does require notification, and individually notifying all those properties and the surrounding properties would be a considerable undertaking and may be a cost there would be some postage that would be involved with that, I think, according to Dave Schilling. And so if we roll it in with the CDO, when we adopt the draft zoning map, we might be able to adopt it at that time as well. But there are some other logistics that need to get put in place before this would be a process that the county would possibly take on.
Julie, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. I don't have a preference, but I would, for which committee they go to, it seems like the ordinance review committee is appropriate. I would say that this isn't really on the radar for the consultants working on the CDO. So I would hope that we could at least start the process and maybe at least have it to the point where it can go out with the other mailing, since that will be a big expense. I just want to be ready as soon as we can, because this is going to be an important way to protect the landmarks of Monroe County.
Jackie, are there any other hands raised?
John has his hand raised.
Thank you.
I was being patient. I was going to jump in. Yeah, I guess from what I've been hearing, I don't think we should have this at our admin PC meeting, with looking at the CDO and fitting our normal agenda. I don't think we should bring it to the admin PC meeting. It's already too jam-packed, in my opinion. I feel like the ordinance review committee seems practical enough because we don't meet regularly with the executive committee, correct? So I think due to the fact that we have kind of a set schedule and we're talking about, making more videos offered from the ORC, I feel like that would be a fitting place, because we discussed that last time about inviting cats more often. So that's my stance, I guess.
Jackie, are there any other hands raised?
Nope. And I think that answers our question, if there's no other comments.
Right. I don't think we need a motion on this. It sounds to me like this is something that we should go ahead and move forward to the regular meeting in the Plan Commission.
We'll just go, since that was an administrative item, we'll just offer back to the Historic Preservation Board the discussion points from tonight, so it doesn't need to go to the regular meeting.
Okay, all right, so um, approval or whatever of that change will come at some other point.
Yeah, actually certifying or adding any kind of historic preservation map or demolition delay, that would be an actual agenda item, not administrative.
Okay. All right. At this point, I have a question for Dave Schilling. Dave, I think with the previous item, when Bernie said so moved, I thought he was moving to proceed with the vote. And then Amy Thompson, who was in the meeting but not admitted as a panelist and therefore couldn't comment, put something in the chat that she would have voted against it. Is it possible to revisit that item and have a new motion?
You can if you want, although it doesn't look like it would make any difference to the result. But if you want to make the record clear as to how everybody felt, you certainly can do that.
Yes, I'd like to make the record clear. So I'm going to reopen the question because of a procedural error and call for a motion on the approval of the language that allows the time change of our meeting and the rules of procedure from 6 to 5:30. And that allows the vice president of the planning commission to be the chair of the administrative meeting. Is there such a motion?
So wait, you're
Oh.
requesting a motion to reconsider that? Is that,
Yes.
okay, I move to reconsider that vote.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, we have a
Okay.
motion and second. Jackie, call the roll.
Okay, this is on the two changes of the rules of procedure. Dee Owens,
Yes,
Jerry Pittsford.
Can we be clear what a yes vote is to
A yes
reconsider?
vote is to approve the change in time to 5:30 PM and to allow the vice president to run the administrative meetings.
No,
No.
No,
the
the
motion
motion
is-
was to reconsider.
yeah, that'll reopen the issue. Then somebody can move to divide the question.
Okay,
So the
With that
motion
being
is to
said-
revote on the changes to the rules of procedure.
yes, it is a motion to vacate the previous vote and reconsider it, and I would vote yes.
Okay, and Dee Owens, you're still a vote of yes?
yes, correct.
Okay, Julie Thomas,
Yes.
Amy Thompson,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
John Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Bernie Veritas,
Yes,
Jeff McKim.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
move for
Okay.
division of the question.
Second.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Jerry Pittsford,
Yes,
Julie Thomas,
Yes.
Amy Thompson,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
John Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Bernie Veritas,
yes,
Jeff McKim,
Yes,
Dee Owens.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
okay, now we have a separation of the question. Do I have a motion on the time of the meeting?
move we approve the change to the time.
Second.
Okay, call the roll. This is for the change in the time to 5:30. Julie Thomas,
I'm a no, because this is a really bad time.
okay, Amy Thompson,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
John Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Bernie Veritas,
yes,
Jeff McKim,
Yes,
Dee Owens,
yes,
Jerry Pittsford.
No.
Okay, motion passes 6-2 for 5:30.
Do we have a separate motion on the vice president chairing administrative meeting?
so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Jackie, call the roll. Yes vote is to deny the vice president or to approve the vice president to chair administrative meeting. Is that correct, Mr. McKim?
Yes, that is correct. To approve.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. I'll call the roll. Amy Thompson,
No.
Mark Clemens,
Yes.
Tron Enright Randolph,
So just to be clear, and I know we've spent too much time, this is somewhat ratifying the vote that we had taken previously to allow this. So this is just the language we're kind of looking at. Because I'll vote yes, but I feel if we need to revisit that, I'd be willing to entertain that idea in the future as well.
okay.
So my vote's yes.
Bernie Garitas,
No, and just to restate, I think we did this backwards, and I don't think that this motion should have been brought forth on the same meeting that after the officers were nominated and approved. So my vote is no.
okay. Jeff McKim,
Yes.
Dee Owens,
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford,
Considering the previous votes all to be votes of non-confidence in my ability to run these meetings, I vote no.
Julie Thomas,
Yes.
okay. The motion passes 5-3.
Shall I proceed with the meeting?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Please do so.
Under old business, number 1 is ZOA-21-11, an amendment to the Monroe County zoning ordinance, chapter 801 definitions. This is not a final hearing.
Okay, so this is the second time that the Plan Commission is reviewing the changes to Chapter 801. And the purpose of these changes is to add definitions to catch up from some of the other text amendments that we're doing in tandem. So they include a definition change to change in use, which will include the number of bedrooms changing from what is on the listed report card to make that more specific in the definition than it is currently. And we're also getting rid of something that is a holdover from the original, I believe, 1997 adoption of the ordinance, where it split the use table into classes of uses to say that changes of use, a change in use did not constitute change in use if you fit within the same class. These uses are actually not exactly the same as Chapter 802 or 833, so it's difficult for staff to use, and it would be a lot clearer if we just deleted this section and said a change in use is when you are changing a use from one use to another use in the 802. The other changes that we've made under 801 is to plot plans and to site plans. Previously, last meeting, I had it listed as certified plot plans and certified site plans, but I wanted to clarify that the definition for plot plan can be standalone. It may or may not be certified. You have to look at 815. What I didn't want to happen was to say it must be certified if it's a plot plan, and then 815 is contradicting. So I made it a more generic definition under 801 so that we don't have those conflicts. So a scale drawing that may be certified, showing the area where improvements and structures are being proposed or in existence, and then C, specific certification and component requirements under Chapter 815. And I've done something very similar with the site plan definition as well.
Are there any questions for staff?
Yeah, this is probably, I need to reread it, but just an observation that an architect or an engineer is unable to certify to the locations of boundary lines if that's what they're representing on the drawing. So this probably is actually more accurate, but it's probably a broader discussion for another day. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Are there any other questions or comments? Jackie, do we have any other hands raised?
No, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, then we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. This is number 2, REZ-21-8, Hinkle rezone from Ag Rural Reserve to General Business. This will be a final hearing at our regularly scheduled meeting with a waiver of final hearing requested. Tammy Bierman presenting.
Yeah, so this is just an update from what you all heard at the previous meeting. The Historic Preservation Board was able to go out and do an inspection of the site and an assessment. And this is included as Exhibit 7, so you might want to go through. It's a 2.5-page report. And as a result of this report and the meeting, and I will just say that the meeting here, Ms. Hinkle did show up at the HP board meeting and kind of clarified some assumptions that had been made in that report. So you can kind of read my notes. It's not verbatim by any means, but I captured most of what she was saying during the meeting that you can read here. But based upon the testimony and that inspection report, the HP board added these 2 conditions. And so one of those is the 1,800 square foot barn is to be locally designated through Historic Preservation Board. And the second one or the third one is to allow Bloomington Restorations to kind of assess the house from the inside so they can see if it's structurally able to be relocated and if it's worth saving and relocating to another site. What I want to get at from the admin session part here is that I have spoken with all parties. I have email confirmation from one and a verbal confirmation from the other party involved. So that would be Ms. Hinkle and then the representative who's representing Lindeman and Associates Psychological Services. And we feel that in order to make this locally designated condition happen, normally when someone adds an HP overlay to a property, it's essentially a rezone and you're starting from scratch. And here staff finds that we might be able to just add a line up in the request and renotice and do proper notification so that we're adding the HP overlay just to this barn during this process, and kind of wanting to confirm if Plan Commission would be amenable to adding that at this stage, and we can have it presented as such during the formal Plan Commission meeting in about 3 weeks.
Given that this is a deviation from our past history, I would really like to hear thoughts.
Commissioner Thomas has her hand raised.
Thank you. I am fine with this for expediency's sake, but I have concerns about recommendation number 3, because if that's going to be a commitment, then what is the commitment? Is the commitment just to allow a survey? That's not a commitment. So I think I have concerns about what happens after the survey happens, right? So I think we just need that to be restructured so that it's a commitment to something. And it's just a commitment to review. So what? They review it and it can be moved. That's not a commitment that allows that house to be moved, right? So that's what I'm saying is it's sort of a half a commitment right now. We just need that clarified.
Okay, we can work on that.
Yeah, but I'm fine with adding this to the current petition if the petitioner is willing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they both seemed like they were willing to do that. So just wanting to get some feedback before, adding it to it. And then you would officially vote on it at the next meeting. Bernie, let's see, I think Tron was first. Tron, go ahead.
Yes, I guess I was curious if we could expand on this being a deviation of kind of our typical way of handling it. Is that what you were alluding to, Jerry? Or just this added information?
Well, it's when you add an action and repost it, we've really never done that before. So I just wanted to be sure before we add the action of the historic preservation overlay and then re-advertise it or re-notice it, that everybody's okay with it.
Okay, well, perfect. And since it sounds like the petitioners are amenable to this, then I have no additional questions.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking for is opposition more than support. And then we can kind of judge that, because I think part of the motion in the regular meeting will have to include changing, or actually, I don't know. Dave, do we have to change that notice in this meeting if we're going to resubmit it?
Well, for the, when are you going to hear it? That meeting notice would have to be resubmitted, re-advertised with different language.
Well, do we have to approve the change in language, or can that be done at staff level? Let me
It's
clarify.
usually- yeah, yeah.
Because this has previously been posted like this. So if we go ahead and say, oh, well, in administrative meeting, we decided to change the action that would be allowed on this vote and then repost it, somebody who saw it the first time didn't see that, you know, I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's a big
well-
deal or no deal.
Yeah, as long as it's posted with the 10-day notice that's required, that wouldn't be a legal problem. So that's one option, is to re-advertise it and hear it again with that additional overlay. Another option, I think you could, as a commitment, it could be that within 30 days of the approval of the rezone, that the property owners will apply for a designation. And then handle that later, because I don't know that it has to be done by any specific date.
Okay, thank you. The reason I bring that up is this, to me, feels like a slippery slope. Well, we've posted this, we've heard it 2 times, and now we're going to repost it and change the actual action that's listed. And if you weren't paying close attention, you missed your chance. And in this case, it really only affects the property owner, but it could allow other changes that would impact neighborhoods or other people of interest.
Bernie, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, sorry about that. So my question is slow thinker here. So the historic preservation overlay, is that something that staff has recommended, or is that something the petitioner has come up and said, hey, we want to put this on historic, put the overlay over it?
Oh, that was a complete recommendation from the Historic Board of Preservation.
Okay, so
Board of
what,
Review.
so what the petitioner would have to do, if we would follow the rules, they would have to re-advertise and basically start the petition over again, including the fees. Is that correct? Is it
Or
an
I-
expedited?
I think we could continue with this one and, do some sort of written commitment. And then they would come back, start the process over again, pay the $500 fee. And then we would start that advertising. I will say that legal notice is due out on Thursday for us. So, I mean, we can add it to the legal notice at this point in time, because it was kind of a recommendation of the Historic, Preservation Board. But I hear Jerry and what he's saying as well.
Just to
Well,
clarify,
correct me
Tim,
if I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt here. correct me if I'm wrong, but we've heard this petition twice publicly. Is that correct?
Once,
This
it's
is the
been to the
second
plan
time.
commission once.
Well, this is the second time it's been heard publicly.
That'll be next week or at the next formal hearing.
Well, didn't we hear this before tonight?
Yes, we heard it in February at the plan commission meeting as a primary hearing. And then it would go
Right.
for its final hearing in 3 weeks.
Okay, but so there's my point. We heard it preliminarily in February. We're hearing it a second time tonight.
Mm,
But yet Thursday, we're going to repost it with the change in the request.
well, we don't take public comment during this meeting though. So I wouldn't,
I'm not talking about public comment. I'm talking about how it's posted. And, you know, it seems like a slippery slope and I may be overreacting. And if I am, then fine, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, and where Jerry's going with that is where, the reason why I asked that question is I'm trying to weigh, again, reiterate where the recommendation came from. I'm just curious, when was this petition first gone over with staff and then formally filed? Do you know, Tammy? You may not know that. I'm just curious.
I think based upon the first meeting it was supposed to have gone to, I believe it would have hit the November, first Wednesday of the month in December, the first week of December, it was filed. And then the first meeting it should have gone to was the PRC meeting, but they didn't have quorum. And then I have listed each meeting it has been to since then.
Okay.
And then we do have that, yeah, the March 22nd was the final hearing.
Okay, my gut feeling is if a petitioner came and asked for some change after the submittal was done, that because this is a historic preservation committee, it's probably seen as a little differently. That's just an observation. I'm not making a judgment. I'm just giving my perspective. And then just a lighter question on condition number 3 that Julie was talking about. Why would we, and of course we all know the prowess and the abilities of Bloomington Restorations. It's not a comment on that, but why would we limit it to Bloomington Restorations? There are other organizations out there that can do that assessment.
Yeah. They had attended that meeting initially with 2 of the other HP board members as written in the report. So they had reviewed it and were making an offer to possibly save the building.
Well, what if in future situations, an individual, not even an organization, comes and says, I'd like to see a historic preservation overlay on this, so please revise your amendment. I don't want to go into anything that may have happened in terms of conversations and all that stuff, but I feel like this is a substantive change in the petitioner's request, and to simply add it in, I'm not comfortable with it, and but if everybody else is, let it proceed.
There are 3 hands up. I see Bernie. Are you still have a comment?
No, I guess that doesn't, Jerry, I think Jerry was referring to the overlay. My question had to do with condition number 3, that we are limiting the assessment to Bloomington Restorations. It's happened, but very rarely do we isolate a single group to perform a task like that, a commercial task, but
So
that's it.
staff could rework that condition 3 by the time of the next meeting. And if anyone wants to rewrite it after that, or we could work on the language now, but it could be voted on at the March 22nd meeting as a written commitment, and possibly then removing the specificity of Bloomington Restorations Incorporated. And that'll be something that if a plan commission member wants to reword it after that and then vote on it, I'm fine with that, but we could take a stab at making that a more general statement.
Dave, you have
Tammy,
your hand raised?
so hang on just a minute, Jackie, before we go on. Tammy, just a quick question. Does Bloomington Restoration Incorporated collect a fee for that assessment?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, one thing, just a couple thoughts. I don't know what kind of schedule the petitioners are on, but you could, one of the options is to have them file for the overlay later, but as Tammy says, that costs money. And if you're trying to encourage people to cooperate with historic preservation, it seems to me that you'd want to make it as easy as possible. So one option would be just to advertise for this additional component of the petition and have 2 more hearings on it, which would be the same as if they'd done it with all these components to begin with.
Thanks, Dave, and I'll just clarify that the rezone to HP overlay is not a charge and the fee schedule is free.
Okay.
Sorry, we said it wrong originally, that's okay. But the other thing I want to note is that the petitioner is on board with a recommendation made by the Historic Preservation Board of Review, and they agree and show on their site plan that the barn will be preserved. So just to clear up any issue or worry that we're putting this on the owner or the buyer and they don't want it, they do want to see the barn preserved. And so it's not something that they're in disagreement about. But as Dave said, we could take it for more hearings or just have them commit to doing it later, and you will see it all the way through the process again, just the overlay portion. And the property will be zoned how it will be zoned after this petition runs its course. Jeff has his hand raised.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. My preference would be to proceed as staff is recommending and to renotice it for the next hearing with the overlay included. And then if everybody's not comfortable approving it at the next hearing, if they think there's still issues to be discussed, then we can continue it again at the next one. But I'd rather not unnecessarily delay it from the beginning. I just don't think there's a need, especially since the petitioner's on board.
Okay, well, I'm going to speak as voice of procedure. This is a change in procedure. And once you do this with this one, when others come forward, you may be faced with a less palatable change. So if that's what we want to do, that's fine, but the vote could actually be a vote for or against the change in procedure that allowed this to be renoticed. And if everybody's fine with that, then we'll continue.
Dave, just to clarify, if this did go to the regular plan commission meeting as a rezone from AGR to GB and an HP overlay over the 1,020 square foot barn, is that rezone to GB and the HP overlay inseparable, or could those be taken as 2 votes?
You mean if they were advertised and put on for hearing, you could separate those 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. That was a good and necessary question. Are there any other hands raised on this one?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, if not, let us proceed to new business. Under new business, we have REZ-21-9. This is the Rice rezone from RE1 to Ag RR. It's a preliminary hearing that has a waiver of final hearing requested, and presenting will be Ann Crecilius.
Good evening, everybody. So this will be the preliminary hearing, waiver of final hearing requested. So this was heard by PRC, which recommended that this rezone petition from, oh, I didn't mean to do that, RE1 to Ag RR. Okay, now I've just lost my page. Sorry about that. That this rezone is reviewed by the Historic Preservation Board for the presence of a dry stone limestone wall on the property. So this did also go to Historic Preservation Board recently and did receive a positive recommendation, to obtain a boundary survey to identify the wall location and then to allow the Historic Preservation Society access for future research and or preservation activities. Outside of that, so this is just the 24-acre rezone, RE1 to Ag RR. Does anybody have any questions on this petition?
Jackie, since I can't see hands raised, you'll have to tell me.
Okay, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, seems like there are no questions on this one, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is REZ-21-10, the Sturworth rezone from ER to SR. This is a preliminary hearing with the waiver of final hearing requested. And it's being presented by Tammy Bierman.
Yeah, so this one, they are wanting to clarify, this is probably the best map to be looking at. This is the property owned by the Sturworths. They have access through this easement here. And then part of this same subdivision that was this, a gentleman began building a structure. Let me start. I have added a historical timeline to this one. But what essentially happened was when he went to build his house, best soil was located here for a septic system. He purchased a septic easement because at the time he did not want to do a rezone and final plat amendment. So he installed his septic here. Then he applied for a building permit for an accessory structure and it went over his lot line and into the easement. Since then, a property transfer here has occurred. And so the Sturworths now would like to clarify what is happening here. And basically, eventually, they would ultimately like to do a lot line shift. But in order to make that happen, this strip of land needs to be rezoned to SR. Mostly because of building design standards that need to be met to accommodate this shed. And so that is the purpose of the rezone. The plan review committee did review it and we're not supportive of it. But again, now I have actually heard from the Sturworths, the property owners, and they really would like to resolve this by having this rezone occur and not having to deal with this property. So, and then just briefly, this is the strip of land that is in play all through here. So the Sturworths are fenced off from their property. There is a septic that's already on their property within the easement. And then this is the pole barn that was built with a permit, but they did not follow their site plan. So it's an enforcement case. And then without a permit, they began adding this lean-to structure. So in order to meet setbacks, we do need that SR zoning to be 5 foot off the line here and 10 foot off the line in the back. Does anyone have any questions about this one?
Has this gone to BZA already?
No, it won't need to go to the BZA. It just needs the rezone, and by rezoning that will correct the lot line that has been built over and also allow for the design standards to be kind of met. This is on page 144. This is
All right,
that
but
structure here.
All right, failing to change in zoning, which would preclude the adjustment of the lot line, does this have to go to BZA?
No, it would not have to go to BZA after this.
They would
but-
just be non-compliant and have to be torn down?
No, they would, by rezoning this strip to SR, it changes the design standards to 10-foot setback, rear setback, and a 5-foot side yard setback. So they would meet it. And the building permit that has been on file that cannot be completed would be allowed to be issued, and they would, pay for those changes to add the lean-to the structure and to also correct within the permit the actual location of where they were supposed to have put this. It was supposed to originally have gone within here. They misplaced it. And if
Tammy,
they-
I think Jerry's question is if they deny the rezone, what is the
Mm.
enforcement action?
Yes, to tear down the structure, and then the Stirworks are left with an easement with a septic system on it that they own.
Okay, can they not then go to BZA if it's denied?
No, I don't think they can because it straddles a lot line. This technically right now, this is the lot line. And so they have built, this portion of their structure is actually in compliance. But this one, because it's in a different zone and it's not on their property, it essentially would have to all be either relocated onto this gentleman's property as it was originally proposed to be, or torn down.
Okay, I just wanted the full impact of denying the rezone to be explained before we proceed. Thank you, Tammy.
Sure. Mhm.
Jeff has his hand raised.
Actually, I think I just heard the answer, but basically the entire pole barn would have to be torn down, not just the lean-to.
Correct.
Okay.
Or relocated.
Or relocated.
And I'm-
And just as a, sorry, Tammy, but just as a point of clarification, the pole barn does not have a foundation and a substructure, so there really is no relocation opportunity except to tear it down and use the pieces that you take down to reassemble in a different place. You can't just lift it and move it.
You might be right there. I did not assess how it was actually constructed, but you might be right.
Well, when you refer to it as a pole barn structure, that was the only conclusion that I could meet.
Okay, I don't see any more hands raised on this one.
Okay, well, if we're satisfied, I'm going to proceed to, well, we have to, hang on a minute. Right, SPP-22-1. This is Orchard Estates subdivision, section 2, lot 19. It's a preliminary plat amendment with one waiver of final hearing requested. Presenting will be Ann Crecilius.
Thank you, Jerry. So this is a preliminary plat amendment to one lot of a major subdivision. So right now, lot 19 is 2.5 acres. This plat amendment would alter Orchard Estate subdivision to include, so that lot 19 would then become 12.5 acres and would include this bump out. The property is already developed. This petition is happening consecutively with a one lot type E to reflect this adjustment and boundary if this amendment is approved. Does anybody have any questions?
Jackie, as previously mentioned, I'm relying on you to look for raised hands. And also let the record reflect that President Clemens is going to have to step away at this point, so she will no longer be participating in the meeting.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, I was making note of that. I don't see any hands raised at this time.
Well, if there are no hands raised, I'm ready to proceed to the next item on the agenda. which would be SAD-22-4. This is a job type D administrative subdivision with right-of-way width waiver requested and a request for waiver of final hearing. I have to say, this seems new to me, and if I'm just behind the times, that's okay. But I don't recall ever seeing a job type D administrative subdivision. So hopefully Tammy will give us a little history on what that means. And with that, Tammy, you may begin presenting.
Okay. Right from the get-go, I am going to be in the next report striking this whole condition of approval. We have, I've gotten confirmation from the zoning inspector that we're in compliance with the site. Yes. Oh, thank you. Here we go. All right. So first off, no, it's not working still. Sorry. Screen one, share. Is it working now? I'm gonna, is it there now? Great. I don't know how that got switched.
Looks like a nice starry night in Kent, though.
Okay, is it working now? Or you on a starry tent? This one?
No, we just,
You just saw it here?
yep, it's there.
Sorry, that has not happened to me for a while. I don't know why I got screen one and screen two mixed up. Okay, so first off, there is right now a condition on the report. I'm going to be deleting that. The zoning inspector let me know today that they have received compliance with this subdivision or with the enforcement issue. So I'll be adding a note down here at the bottom. A type D subdivision basically occurs when the county or the state comes in and needs to build a road and they take right of way through a property. And the right of way happens, both of these two individually looking parcels still have the same parcel number and are considered one lot of record. Mr. Job would like to officially see that these two lots are separate through the type D administrative subdivision. And normally just staff would approve this at an administrative level. The unfortunate thing is that when right-of-way was taken, unfortunately, there were some areas that did not take the full 90 feet as recommended by the thoroughfare plan. And so rather than redo the entire survey to mark where this 5-foot discrepancy is around in here, they're asking for a waiver for the right-of-way width. And that's it in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions on that? This is the actual plat, but really you're just voting on the waiver and not the plat itself because that is an administrative approval.
And Tammy, I think that because the highway department worked with the owner on this and took the right of way that they needed, this seems to be something that the highway department supports. It's just that per our ordinance, we don't have an amendment or a procedure to be able to take something less than what the thoroughfare plan recommends. So that's why it needs a waiver and that's why it's in front of the plan commission.
I see Bernie's got a question.
So there's no legal description. There's no legal description that matches what the thoroughfare plan right away shows. Is that correct?
Correct.
So all the deeds and all the parcels are intact. And it's just that through the course of that right of way taking or donation, they didn't realize they needed to take as
It
much
was-
as.
Yeah, I mean, it was mentioned during the pre-design and they might have already had that boundary survey done by the time we were pre-designing it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I know the highway department, both Lisa and Paul are on if anyone has questions for them.
Okay. Thanks.
Are there other questions?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Jeff, thanks for cluing me in. I don't know how I missed remembering the fact that job was the name of the petitioner. And I saw job type D and I'm like, what is job type D? So, all right, I ran things together. My apologies. If there are no questions, I think that brings us to the end of our agenda.
Dave, did you have a report? I can't recall if you had something you wanted to report on today or no. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you. Just the boathouse case, the Supreme Court denied the boathouse's petition to transfer. So the appellate decision in favor of Monroe County is settled and established, and this action will come back to the Monroe Circuit Court for a determination of the amount of civil penalties. And that's it.
Okay, any questions or comments for Dave? There appearing to be none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. All in favor will say aye.
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 All right,
Thank
we're
you.
done. Good
Thanks,
night,
Jerry.
everybody.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.